Welcome to the game theory Matthew doesn't know exists. That's right, it's not Matthew, it's me, Stephanie. Hi. If you're watching this, especially in the first few hours after upload, you may be watching it at the exact same time Matthew is. In the long history of this channel, this is the only episode that he knows nothing about and won't know anything about until after it goes live. I'm not kidding, this is real, he really knows nothing, and I can promise that whatever you're feeling, he is feeling really stressed out right now. Is this a bad idea? Maybe. Is it a really bad idea? It's too late now. I wrote this script. We're doing this. We're in this together. And look at you. Look, you're watching. You're a co-conspirator now. Let's go! Hello, Internet. More than 10 years ago, Matthew, aka MatPat, proposed to me with this YouTube video on this YouTube channel. 10 years later, he and I have been married for an entire decade. And I'm repaying him the favor. Yes, it took me a whole 10 years to come up with the idea of actually doing a YouTube video for him. And maybe that's why he's in charge of the creative. Not the point. But after making a few thousand videos for everyone else, I thought he deserved a video that someone made for him. So here I am. Just a girl sitting in front of a camera, playing clips from 2007. At first glance, it may look like I've only been around for 10 years, while this channel has been around for 11. And I admit, she has some decent curves, but our relationship does in fact predate anything here. We met in January 2006, the year Google bought YouTube. I signed up for a hot new website, the Facebook, and packed my 85-pound laptop for college. It was a simpler time, and a heavier time. My relationship with Matthew is all that survives from that era, except this one pair of gym pants that I've had since middle school, and I'm pretty sure he's going to outlast them. Then again, they're really sturdy pants. I'm wearing them today. They're really hanging in there. The point is that this channel has lasted a long time, and so has our relationship. And I'm here to tell you, it's not a coincidence. In fact, I'm here to tell you that getting yourself a meaningful relationship and getting yourself a meaningful YouTube channel require the exact same steps. YouTube is easier because they give you the rock for being a good partner. By the end of this episode, you'll understand how both relationships and YouTube channels work, and you'll see that they are actually one and the same. To be clear, neither of us are married to YouTube. It seems like it sometimes, but that is not a thing. Right? No. Look, I could have made this video really sappy, and to be honest, I tried a couple versions like that. It did not work out. So instead, I'm doing the least romantic anniversary video possible. That's more my speed anyway.
Hey, wife.
Hey, friend.
Our first meal.
Our first meal in the new apartment, together.
So to start off in a relationship and in a YouTube channel, you have to be willing to put yourself out there, whatever that means for you. When I met Matthew, the idea of doing something like this, on camera, would have been unimaginable. This is our first picture together. He looks like he's been picked for The Price is Right, and I look like the Phantom of the Opera, like right when they pull his mask off. I hid in the quiet parts of the library, which incidentally is where I got picked up for most of my dates. Those Saturday before 10 a.m. library dudes. In contrast, I remember once seeing Matthew before we met, and I know it was him because he was in a zoot suit and a cane, and he was singing and waving to all the people he somehow knew on the third day of school. I distinctly thought to myself, oh, what a gaudy, unnecessary display. Just who would ever do that? Look what he's done!
No, I'm pretty happy with that.
Ta-da! Back in college, he was already referred to as MatPat, but I called him Matthew Patrick, his full first and last name, for 2 years because I didn't want to admit that I liked him. Not exactly a place of honesty. On the other hand, Matthew talked about all the shows he was doing, the group events he had planned, the university-level show choir he was planning to found. True story. But most of the time, he actually followed me home alone on the bus and sat next to me and walked me home. And yeah, in 2022, that's definitely stalking, but this was the enchantingly backward time of 2006, so we'll go with endearing. The point is, we wasted a lot of time in the early days figuring out that it was okay to be ourselves, and if you care about something, you really can't commit to it like a little bit. There are no half measures in life and on the internet. You have to show who you really are, even if it means showing that you need someone else or even a lot of someone else's. On the internet, you're in and you're putting yourself out there, or you're not. Half honesty doesn't work because people can always tell. Showing who you really are gives them the chance to accept you. And let's face it, We know if you're here long enough, the truth about who you are is eventually going to come out. You might as well own it up front. That said, you're still going to face some hard truths sometimes. Matthew tells this story plenty about starting as a barely paid actor, but I was the reason he quit. It's now 2010. Instead of touring around with theater shows or weeping about the recession or whatever 23-year-olds were doing at the time, there was a lot of weeping. He came to be with me and try to make it in New York. Excuse me, New York.
Reasons we hate New York?
Number 52. Urine everywhere.
Sometimes things don't go the way you expect, and you have to course correct pretty hard. We've done it here on the channel. When YouTube has changed, we made videos longer, we cut out pauses, we cut out intros, we talked faster, we cut topics, we added a lot of Minecraft, and when YouTube Shorts came around, we politely ignored them. Back then, Matthew went to hundreds of auditions where no one even saw him because he couldn't get into the Actors Union. He couldn't afford an apartment or a taxi or more than 3 items from the McDonald's dollar menu, so clearly something wasn't working. And he kind of knew where he wanted to be.
It was a long day for me, discussing the internet's impact on knowledge, whether college is a necessity.
But getting there takes time, and he had a couple of jobless years where we couldn't do things like buy Christmas presents.
Oh, Christmas tree, your branches are getting very dry.
And in the meantime, he took dangerous jobs, rigging lights in theaters and working as an outdoor street vendor where he almost got hypothermia.
So I'd already taken off the gloves, but then you have other gloves underneath. You got hat, headband, scarf, jacket, sweater, thermal, t-shirt, Under Armour, and an Under Armour. That's the pile.
But you change things, and eventually something starts to work. The solutions happen when you can take the hard truths you have in front of you.
I have rollers in my hair because my character's name is Curly. I am so unhappy right now. I'm so miserable.
And connect them with something you're really passionate about.
Click my butt. Watch the next video.
While Matthew did a bunch of crummy jobs that paid almost nothing, he also started a web series that he loved. It paid actually nothing, but it was like, oh, we're like a little below the poverty line versus like, we're a little more below the poverty line. So really this channel was just a rounding error. And that was how Game Theory was born. Out of Matthew looking at the data.
So unhappy.
And seeing that even when your apartment and your job prospects and your bank account all look like a big 0, you can still work towards something. The commitment is going to be worth it down the road. And to his credit, Matthew had to make a lot of commitments, and he made a lot of them for me. When we moved to LA, he had never been west of the mighty Mississippi, and while he has analytics in the bag, I don't think he knew like which one up there was Oregon and which one was Washington. He was pretty sure they weren't California where we were moving. That was as much as he knew. Coming to LA also had nothing to do with being a YouTuber because this was 2011, the time of Futurama memes, overly attached girlfriend, and this era of Smosh. Telling someone you're a YouTuber in 2011 is like telling them you're a grifter or like a dog thief, something worse than not having a job. But he followed me so that I could start a career.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Cordato. Nice to meet you.
That might have been a little too forward.
We had never seen tacos for less than $1, so we figured LA must be the promised land. In this process, whether it's building a relationship or building a YouTube channel, there's also a lot of doubters to contend with. During this time, Matthew's relatives either believed I had ruined his acting career, or they apologized to me because he was, quote, a bum with no job, and they asked if I was going to dump him before our wedding. A lot of the companies he applied to work for at that time have actually since hired us as consultants or paid us to do brand sponsorships or signed up to come see Matthew speak at a conference. And that feels pretty good, but it could also just be probability because he applied for like 5 jobs a day for a year while working on this channel. While I worked 70 hours a week, his solitary, unpaid internet time got so intense that we had to get Skip so that Matthew would have someone to hang out with during the day.
We can name it fish. Fishy. Flounder.
What gets you through the doubters, I think, isn't looking like you have it all together from the outside. It's about having support. of people on the inside. And I think the last few years on this platform have even shown us that like looking like you have it all together on the outside, it ain't it. Money is a type of support, like the type that keeps you from getting evicted, and that's great. But the support that keeps you doing everything else has nothing to do with money. It has to do with having someone in your life to tell you you're not as crazy as the doubters say you are. Or to tell you that you are, and make sure that episode never makes it to air. And to be fair, I may have failed there. Admitting it today, I let the boobs episode slide. I read it, I thought it was funny, and let's face it, I had no horse in that race. But I did make the good call of marrying the kid with no job. And here we are. And that's it, right? You start with something you're passionate and honest about, you commit to it, you listen to some comments, and along the way it all works out. Done? Nope, that's just getting started. The last part is to grow up in that relationship, and I think you kind of keep doing that forever. We are not the same people as we were when we met, thank goodness. And this channel is not the same as when we met.
Now you can play and learn. That's right, Weboverse.
Oh my god, yes, ancient history. Please keep it back there. You have to continue to do new things and keep taking some chances, but it gets easier. Don't get me wrong, when we started a second channel with film theory, people thought it was impossible to theorize about movies and TV, and now it's basically an entire genre on YouTube. When we started live streaming 5 days a week, people thought we were crazy, and yet GT Live is one of the most positive and powerful communities I've ever seen on the internet. With food theory, people literally thought we were joking. But here we are a couple years later, eating our Christmas trees and normalizing the word spatchcock. Off YouTube, Matthew also let me move him back all the way across the country again at a time when we thought we might be kind of shunned for leaving Los Angeles, only to have everyone leave Los Angeles the next year. Score. You keep iterating, you keep listening, really listening to the person on the other side, whoever that is, and just be really grateful that there's someone there. For this anniversary, we debated whether or not to have like a big party. YouTubers have incredible parties. Like even looking at them online makes me feel exhausted and vastly inferior. Most of our friends though live far away, or they're people we work with, and like, how much more of us do they really want to see? Ultimately, we decided it would be too hard to find a place where we could invite everyone we care about. But the irony is that this channel is one of the things we care about most in the whole world. And by doing this video, it's like we get to invite you to the party. And we just don't need a venue big enough to hold the population of Morocco. In the last 10 years, YouTube and everyone who's watched this channel has given us one of the greatest gifts possible: time together. And I don't know what'll happen in the next 10 years, but for Matthew, hey, hi. I'll be here for whatever we do in the next decade, and I bet it'll be fun, but you know, that's just a theory. And if you made it all the way through, thanks for watching. A special thanks to the real sponsors of this episode: Jason, Amy, Ash, Matt, Dan, and Yosi for being co-conspirators on the inside, and to our crafty band of editors for pretending to get pneumonia or whatever you had to do to work on this video without Matthew finding out. If he fires you for this, I'm sorry. That was just a joke. I run the business side. Matthew has no idea how to fire anyone. I'm not even sure he knows the password for this channel anymore, so don't worry. As for you, don't you have like a YouTuber boxing match to watch somewhere? I don't know. Here, watch a real game theory. Here, there's one. Click on it. Click. This is an actual episode. Go.